state regime media, which calls itself Fox News, is currently attacking me, and they are currently attacking the MeidasTouch Network. Specifically, Fox is running a segment on the Laura Ingraham show, the Laura Ingraham Angle, where they are showing the interview that I did with the leader of Meidas Health, Dr. Vin Gupta. In that interview, Dr. Vin Gupta points out the red flags involving Donald Trump's deteriorating mental and physical condition. Fox runs this segment, and what they're calling it is media tries to go after Trump's cognitive health. You see it right there. You see me and Dr. Gupta, and they continue to attack us and say, oh, well, you're not focusing on former President Biden. You should be doing the segment on that. And you're lying about Donald Trump. Donald Trump is actually a machine, and everybody knows how strong he is. And MeidasTouch isn't recognizing that Donald Trump is a machine. I kid you not, that's actually what they're saying on Fox. Here's what they said on that segment, that Trump is a machine and that MeidasTouch should be recognizing that. The hell are they talking about? Here, play this clip.
Well, the man is almost 80, but he's also a machine. I mean, he barely sleeps, he works around the clock, and he constantly talks to the press. And meanwhile, Biden always slept, worked sometimes, and never talked to the press, and unless they're asking him about ice cream flavors.
And then they go on to try to attack former President Biden, and they're like, the media, MeidasTouch is out there saying that Donald Trump has all of these mental and physical health issues. Ha ha ha. They should realize that Biden is the one they should be talking about. First off, Biden is not the president right now. You have to stop doing every segment about Biden. Donald Trump is in office right now, okay? And Donald Trump right now looks 1,000 times worse and sounds 1,000 times worse than former President Biden. That's just objective facts right here. But this is what they say. Here, play this clip.
President Biden was active on the weekends, especially riding his bike in Rehoboth Beach. No one denied that with President Biden, that he had his moments of being 80 or 82, whatever it was. In this case, the White House is not willing to even acknowledge that the president is showing obvious signs of age-related decline. One, he might take trips overseas in Air Force One. That doesn't substitute for the lack of physical activity. There's a reason to be worried based on his public performance.
Well, Biden also fell off that stationary bike. So here to discuss it is Clay Travis, Outkick founder and Fox News contributor.
All right, now to show you what state regime was doing. So they keep playing that segment, and then what they also keep showing over and over again is they're like, what we really need to be focusing right now as a country is that there's just certain cultures that are not compatible with Western civilization. Like this shooter in DC, he's Afghan, and then there's all these other immigrants out there. We should not have immigrants here because their culture's not compatible. That's what they're going with right now. Here, play this clip.
We do not have any obligation whatsoever to anyone to allow them entry into our country and to all of the benefits that offers. We don't have any obligation to do that. And quite frankly, it's asinine that we can't have a realistic policy conversation about how certain cultures are quite literally incompatible with ours. It should be okay to say that. And more importantly, it should be okay to base our immigration policy on that. So I'm glad that President Trump is taking some steps in that direction because it is a long time coming.
Indeed.
And just so you see that this is what they keep on repeating. So our segment where they're attacking the MeidasTouch is sandwiched in between these just blatantly racist segments. Like here's MAGA Republican Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna. And then here she says, one of the things we need to just realize is there are certain cultures that are not capable of assimilating with the United States. Really? That's the angle that you're going with here? Here, play this clip.
So, of course, President Trump has taken a couple of steps, stopping all asylums from anywhere in the world and then halting immigration from third world countries. This is a smart first step, I guess.
I 100% back him, and I hope that Congress can codify something related. What I will, again, from this perspective explain is that right now, under the current system that we have in place, there have been so many illegals that have come in unvetted, unchecked under the Biden administration that our system is bogged down. In fact, a majority of the cases that we take as congressional offices, constituent services are immigration related. We have people wanting to come here legally, but they can't even get through the process because, again, so many people have come here the wrong way. And so I would actually say that we need to pause everything until the system can actually catch up. But yes, there's no reason why we need to be taking in people that A, don't want to assimilate, and B, I don't even know that they can contribute much to the current society that we have because they might not actually be skilled in whatever they are trying to come here for. And so I back him on that, but it's unfortunate what happened because had the proper vetting been done, I don't believe that this individual would have been able to come to this country.
Absolutely. Congresswoman, thank you so much.
Okay, and then to try to continue to act like Donald Trump's not clearly suffering from physical and mental health deterioration, Fox, after attacking us, then they keep going with, the auto pen. We have to focus on the auto pen. Biden had an auto pen. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. What do you mean he had an auto pen and therefore all of the executive orders that Biden signed aren't legitimate? You all sound like crazy people. What are you talking about? We saw former President Biden. Former President Biden's out there giving speeches right now and he sounds way better than Donald Trump does. But here you have Caroline Sunshine. I guess she's auditioning to be the next Trump chief propagandist in the White House. And she's like, we need to focus on the auto pen. Here, play this clip right here.
Jason, the auto pen, presidency, I just want to say first and foremost, the auto pen presidency, we don't call it the Biden presidency anymore. We call it the auto pen presidency, is part of what set up the collateral damage that President Trump is now having to fix. I mean, you had for 4 years, they lied to the American people and the White House press corps was complicit in it every single day, a fact that they should absolutely be reminded of.
And then here she is in another segment where she goes and just part of the same segment where she starts attacking John McCain, the late, great Senator John McCain, a war hero, and Senator Mark Kelly, current senator of Arizona, also a war hero. In the MAGA world, these individuals are losers, apparently, and Donald Trump is a machine, an 80-year-old machine. This is Caroline Sunshine. Who is this lady? Here, play this clip.
You have people like Mark Kelly. Mark Kelly reminds me of John McCain. That's not a compliment. He gives off the same loser energy. You can tell they're both frustrated that they're never going to be president because they're not tough enough. They're not smart enough. And Mark Kelly cannot name a single illegal order. Meanwhile, I could name several illegal orders that were given during the Biden administration that Mark Kelly was completely silent on. Let's start with the fact that members of our military were told they had to mandatory take the COVID-19 vaccine or they were going to be discharged from the U.S. military without pay and without pension. Where was Mark Kelly then? Where was Mark Kelly when it was so abundantly clear to anybody with eyeballs that Joe Biden, the commander-in-chief of the military, was not fit to give a single legal command? You really want to tell me the generals and the military aides around Joe Biden didn't think that he was fit to give legal orders? The man didn't know if he was in the bathroom or the Situation Room most of the time. I mean, Jason, I was at the Air Force Academy graduation where President Biden fell on stage, face first, in front of 4,000 of our newly commissioned officers. Where was Mark Kelly telling all of those young officers then on their first day of being commissioned, hey, speak up for what you're seeing? Mark Kelly knows exactly what he is doing. He is undermining the rule of law. Members of Congress, their job is to declare war and approve military budgets, not to undermine the chain of command. And I think Mark Kelly is about to FAFO.
So I've got some big news. Today's climate update comes with a surprising twist, and honestly, it's kind of an encouraging one. Even though the Trump administration completely backtracked on global climate efforts ahead of the COP30 summit, American businesses are not following that lead. And in fact, they are doing the complete opposite. So Reuters reviewed the attendance lists and found that 60 representatives from Fortune 100 companies showed up in Belém, Brazil. That's more than last year's summit. And the companies aren't small players either. We're talking Microsoft, Google, General Motors, Citigroup, Occidental Petroleum. Even Exxon CEO Darren Woods was at the pre-COP events. So the Trump administration is more extreme than Exxon. Let that sink in for a second. And why are they showing up? Well, executives say the answer is simple. Climate action is good business. Extreme weather is hammering supply chains and profits, and companies are realizing that they can't afford to sit on the sidelines. PepsiCo's chief sustainability officer said it bluntly, said, quote, "We need farmers to keep farming. Their entire business depends on this." Meanwhile, climate job growth is exploding. Former EPA chief Gina McCarthy noted that clean energy jobs grew 3 times faster than the rest of the U.S. workforce last year. And companies pushing clean energy and carbon markets say that these global conferences are where real partnerships happen. So the big picture, even with Trump calling climate change a hoax, businesses, cities, and non-federal leaders are stepping in and stepping up. Analysts say that existing policies from these groups are already driving major emissions cuts with or without the federal government, and that's why experts argue that U.S. companies still have a, quote, decisive role. Their presence signals to investors and global partners that the world's largest economy understands what's at stake: innovation, security, competitiveness, and keeping supply chains alive. In short, Washington may be wobbling on climate, but American businesses are not, and that matters just as much. Now, it's time for all of us to make noise, so let me know what you think about this in the comments below, whether it's your thoughts on this news, the climate in general, or on these ongoing climate updates that we're bringing you here at the MeidasTouch Network. Keep spreading the word. Ben, back to you.
Then they bring on James Comer, and he has to talk about, and look, we think that the DOJ is going to be looking into what the House is focused on, auto pen. And this is what the American people care about. They care about some deranged conspiracy that MAGA is coming up with next, that Biden had an auto pen and therefore everything that Biden did is void. Like, y'all are just, it's so obvious what you're doing, okay? And the American people are sick and tired of it. The American people are psychologically tortured right now, living paycheck to paycheck under this Trump regime where nothing is affordable. People can't pay their rent. People have their health care being literally ripped away from them as Trump keeps talking about golden ballrooms, and he's out in Mar-a-Lago with half-naked women dancing in martini glasses in Great Gatsby-style parties while the American people are struggling. But talk about your freaking auto pen BS. Here, play this clip.
So I applaud what President Trump did today. I think this will end up in court. And I think our investigative work, the report that the House Oversight Committee published, will serve as the basis of evidence that will help us win this in court and help President Trump to sustain this executive order.
Okay, then they bring in MAGA Republican Congress member Wesley Hunt. And Wesley Hunt's like, and what we need to realize is that the shooter in D.C. was never vetted at all by Biden, and it's all Biden's fault. Let's be honest. This is Biden's fault. Look, Donald Trump granted the shooter asylum in April. Okay, Trump granted him asylum. When Biden was in office, there was a great degree of vetting. This individual who was allowed in 2021, he worked with the CIA and the United States military for about 10 years in Kandahar in Afghanistan. He was like working with special forces, and he was vetted. And it's a horrific situation. It's deeply tragic. But like when MAGA, you're trying to attack Biden, and Trump's the one who gave this guy asylum. And you're like, this would never have happened if Trump was in office. Trump's the one who put the National Guard there. Trump's the one who took away law enforcement authority and moved the military into Washington, D.C. Here, play this clip.
Was actually a pretty ridiculous claim. This should have never happened in the first place. And Kaylee, let's just be honest and blunt here. This is the fault of the Biden administration. Look no further. The idea that we had that many unvetted people entering this country, and given how Democrats handled our southern border, you can only imagine what happened with these refugee programs coming in from Afghanistan. And now President Trump is doing his best to keep Americans safe. This is why he is our president. This is why he got reelected, to ensure that our streets are safe, that that we can eat, we can get gas, we can do our everyday life and live our lives here as Americans safely. But I want people to understand something. As somebody that wore the uniform, as somebody that fought in the Middle East, there are people that want to see the end of this country. End of discussion. And if we don't take this seriously, we're going to continue to see more dead Americans. What disappoints me the most is that there are 13 senators, Republicans, that voted for this refugee program. And I also want to commend J.D. Vance for not voting for this program, because at the end of the day, he understands what it means to keep Americans safe. I don't want to be called xenophobic. I don't want to be called racist. I am an American that wants to ensure that we save the lives of my fellow Americans and stop evil demons from trying to destroy us.
Congressman.
And by the way, when you see MAGA Republican Congress member Wesley Hunt, he's like, and there were Republican senators who went along with it. This is like Lindsey Graham sponsored the Afghan Adjustment Act. It's like Trump's right-hand guy was the one who did the Afghan Adjustment Act precisely so people who worked with our military could get in. Here, play this clip.
This is the right thing to do. There's no other ending that is acceptable to me. The people who were there with us in the fight that are here in America need to stay. This will be their new home. So we have a moral obligation to these people. They will make great citizens over.
And then I just find this interesting because, Fox has run a lot of segments also attacking Meidas hosts like Aaron Parnas and others before for alerting communities when there would be ICE raids. You may recall Will Cain on his show basically called for Aaron Parnas and Meidas hosts to be arrested because they would say when ICE raids were going to take place, it's a DOJ prosecute the Meidas hosts. Well, now they're bringing on this guy who runs the border, who's the head of Border Patrol right here. And one of the things that they keep talking about is they're like, CNN is in their cozy studio right here. They're in their cozy New York studio. And this is Bavino. They're in their cozy New York studio just laughing at, I'm like, Fox is located in New York. All you people are literally located in New York. What are you talking about? Just watch this segment right here. Let's play it.
Exchange on CNN. And I want you to listen to this. You have Katie Miller, Stephen Miller's wife, arguing and making a fact that your arrests, the vast majority of illegal immigrants rounded up, have criminal history. On CNN, they insist that's not true. From the cozy Manhattan studio, listen to this.
We are removing every single illegal alien that's in this country. And I would say a majority of those who've been removed have had serious violent crimes.
That's not true.
Today in the New Yorker.
That's not true. I hope you weren't a spokesperson saying that.
That is actually
that's false.
Today in the New Yorker.
Demonstrably false.
Today in the New Yorker.
Based on DHS's own data, a majority of the people that they've detained have not had violent criminal records
that have been removed.
Chief Bavino, they're sitting in the comfort of a Manhattan studio, real nice in there. You're on the streets conducting these operations. Is it true that these guys don't have criminal records? You're rounding up innocent people?
Very untrue. Any illegal alien has broken the law, but let's take a look at those criminal records that those individuals were talking about, as you say, in that nice, comfortable studio. Those criminal records also include immigration violations as well. Reentry after deportation is a felony. Oftentimes, it doesn't seem that they want to talk about the reentry after deportation. That's definitely a felony. That's something I count and should be counted as a criminal record. So we go after some very bad people and bad things. And oftentimes, Kylie, what we're finding is when we apprehend other people in conjunction with that targeted enforcement, many of those individuals have significant immigration and or criminal histories. Sometimes between 60 and 70% of those general immigration sweeps will see illegal aliens with significant immigration and or criminal histories. It's quite amazing.
It's amazing, but the commentary class, they know better from that comfortable studio. Chief Patrol Agent Greg Bavino, thank you.
And notice what he says there too, Bavino. And Bavino's like, yeah, if you're here, and your paper's expired or you're not fully a citizen, he goes, we consider you to be a criminal. That's their criteria. Their criteria is anybody here, frankly, who has brown skin is a criminal. Over here you have, let me show you here, you have one of the Fox hosts, Banderas, say that if you criticize the fact that the National Guard are roaming the streets of DC. And if you make any comments like, why are they in DC and they shouldn't be in DC? She goes, you should be criminally punished for hate speech. That should be illegal, she says. Here, play this clip right here.
Both of them, by the way.
Her words are truly the most disturbing, I think, of all of them, because she's actually saying that they are going to get nervous and stressed out. Those were the words she used, and shoot Americans. Has she actually ever gone and spoken to any of these National Guardsmen? Has she ever actually walked into downtown Washington, D.C. and seen what they do? They stand there and they are a presence of safety and protection in order for the police officers to actually do their jobs and fight the crime that they have helped reduce in their cities. There hasn't been any National Guardsmen shooting Americans. Where is she coming up with this? This is the sort of stuff that you're spreading lies, you are spreading hate, which is now inciting maniacs, like Joe just mentioned. This should be punishable. I mean, because you're spreading hate speech, essentially, against a certain group of people. Law enforcement. Are you kidding me? And there's no charges? You should be brought up on charges. I quite frankly think it should be illegal.
And that's state regime media for you. And I'll just show you, it leaves with Janine Pirro further lying about how there was no vetting under Biden and the shooting in DC was all Biden's fault. Any type of tragedy, any situation, the right wing exploits. Anyway, here, play this clip.
And let me say one more thing, and it's not about this case, it's about vetting in general. The nonsense that the left gave us with this Operation Welcome Allies. Look, there was no vetting. If you think there was vetting, I have a bridge to sell you. If you saw the chaos that was going on at that airport in Kabul, in Afghanistan, it was typical of what was going on in the Biden administration.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million subscribers.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.